Every morning you wake up, you are handed a choice, a clean slate, a fresh start. How you step into that first hour can shape everything that follows. Most people wake up and immediately drift into autopilot. They check their phones, scroll through notifications, and react to what the world throws at them. But what if, instead of letting the day control you, you decided to take control of the day from the very first moment? What if, right when you open your eyes, you made a conscious decision to direct your mind, your energy, and your actions toward what truly matters? That is the power of starting your day with intention. Intention is more than just a vague idea of wanting to have a good day. It's a deliberate, conscious act. It's about deciding in advance who you want to be today, how you want to show up, and what kind of energy you want to carry. When you start your morning without intention, you are essentially giving permission for external forces, emails, messages, traffic, random interruptions, to set the pace for your life. But when you start your day with intention, you set the tone. You decide the rhythm, the priorities, and the mindset that will carry you through the challenges ahead. Think about it for a moment. Every person you admire, every high achiever you look up to, has mastered this art in some way. They don't wait for motivation to strike, they create it. They don't wait for the world to be perfect, they take the reins and define what their day will look like. This is not about controlling every single event that will happen. It's about controlling the most important element of all: your reaction, your focus, and your energy. That is what separates those who drift through life from those who move intentionally towards success. When you wake up with intention, you begin by setting a clear mental picture of the day ahead. You might ask yourself, what is my most important task today? Who do I want to be in my interactions? What mindset do I want to carry through every challenge? By asking these questions, you are not just planning your schedule, you are programming your mind for excellence. You are telling yourself, I am not a passenger in my own life, I am the driver. This is a subtle shift, but it is powerful. Your brain starts to filter opportunities, distractions, and challenges through this lens of purpose. Suddenly, decisions become easier, focus becomes sharper, and confidence grows because you are moving in alignment with your values and goals. Many people underestimate how much the first hour of the day influences everything else. Science shows that our brains are more malleable, more receptive, and more open to new patterns in the morning. This is your golden window to install positive habits, to reinforce beliefs that empower you, and to set the tone for resilience. If you spend this time reacting to notifications, dwelling on stress, or succumbing to fatigue, you're essentially starting the day behind, and the rest of the hours have to play catch up. But if you spend the first moments intentionally, breathing, visualizing, reflecting, or planning, you create momentum that carries you through every challenge, every decision, and every interaction. Intentional mornings don't require hours of complicated routines. It's not about elaborate rituals or perfect practices, it's about clarity and choice. Even 5 minutes of focused attention on who you want to be, what you value, and how you will approach the day can be transformational. It could be as simple as sitting in silence, setting a personal affirmation, or mentally rehearsing success in the areas that matter most to you. It is the difference between leaving your mind idle, letting it wander aimlessly, and actively directing it toward growth, achievement, and fulfillment. Another critical element of starting the day with intention is the emotional advantage it provides. When you wake up deliberately, you are more likely to approach situations calmly rather than reactively. You are less likely to be triggered by small annoyances, setbacks, or distractions. Your emotional state becomes a tool rather than a liability. You respond with purpose, not impulsiveness. This emotional clarity amplifies your productivity, strengthens your relationships, and protects your mental energy. Over time, the consistency of these intentional mornings compounds into a mindset that is resilient, focused, and unstoppable. It is also important to recognize that starting with intention is a habit that strengthens with practice. The first few days may feel awkward. You might forget, or you might default to old routines. That is normal. Success is built on repetition, not perfection. Each morning you choose to step into intention. You are rewiring your mind, reinforcing your values, and strengthening your ability to direct your energy. You are creating a foundation that the rest of your day and ultimately the rest of your life can stand upon. When intention becomes your morning practice, you notice subtle shifts everywhere. You begin to prioritize tasks that truly matter. You become more patient with challenges and more decisive in moments of uncertainty. Opportunities start to appear not because the world changed, but because your mind became sharper, more alert, and more aligned with your goals. You start to carry a sense of quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are not drifting. You are moving forward with purpose. So tomorrow, when your alarm goes off, consider this. You are being handed another blank page. You can fill it with distractions, stress, and reaction, or you can fill it with intention, focus, and purpose. By starting your morning with deliberate action, you are not just managing your day, you are reshaping your life. The decision is simple, but the impact is profound. Step into this morning fully aware, fully present, and fully committed, and you will find that the world responds to your clarity with opportunities, growth, and success. And as you rise, remember this: the way you begin your day determines the quality of your life. Every day brings with it a choice, not just about how we act or what we do, but about what we carry with us from the past. So often, people wake up weighed down by the events of yesterday. The mistakes, the regrets, the disappointments, they cling like shadows, invisible yet heavy, shaping the way we see ourselves and the way we approach the new day. And here's the truth: carrying yesterday into today doesn't just slow you down, it drains your energy, clouds your judgment, and steals opportunities that are waiting for you right now. Letting go of what has already happened is not just an act of self-care, it is an act of empowerment. When you release yesterday's baggage, you give yourself permission to step fully into the present, to see the day ahead with clarity, and to act from a place of strength rather than fear. Think about it. Every moment you spend replaying a past failure or obsessing over a decision you wish you had made differently is a moment stolen from your future. Your mind, like a muscle, responds to where you put your focus. When you dwell on the past, it becomes a habit, a pattern, and your thoughts shape your emotions and actions. Guilt, resentment, anger, they are heavy chains, invisible yet constraining. But the beautiful thing is that just as you trained yourself to hold on to them, you can train yourself to release them. It doesn't happen all at once, and it doesn't happen by force. It happens by choice, by conscious decision, and by repeated practice of letting go. Releasing the past begins with awareness. The first step is noticing the ways you are carrying yesterday into today. Maybe it's that mistake at work, that argument with a loved one, or that opportunity you didn't seize. Whatever it is, acknowledge it, name it, and accept that it happened. Acceptance doesn't mean resignation. It doesn't mean you condone the error or pretend the pain doesn't exist. Acceptance simply means you stop fighting reality and stop letting it control your emotions and your actions. By facing the truth without judgment, you strip the past of its power over you. Once you have acknowledged the past, the next step is to consciously choose to let it go. Imagine holding a heavy backpack filled with stones, each stone representing a regret, a failure, or a hurt. Walking through life with that backpack slows you down, makes every step harder, and limits how far you can go. Letting go is like setting the backpack down. The stones are still there, you remember them, but they no longer weigh on you. The act of release doesn't erase the past, but it frees you to focus on the present moment and the choices you can make today. Letting go also means forgiving yourself. So many of us are our own harshest critics. We punish ourselves long after everyone else has moved on, replaying every misstep over and over in our minds. Forgiveness is not about weakness, it's about strength. It's about understanding that you are human, that mistakes are part of growth, and that holding on to self-blame only holds you back. When you forgive yourself, you reclaim your power. You take responsibility for your actions without letting them define you, and you open the door to learning, growth, and a renewed sense of purpose. But release isn't limited to forgiving yourself. It also includes letting go of the grudges we hold against others. Resentment, anger, and disappointment aimed at someone else are like toxins for your mind. Carrying them around day after day is a choice to live in the past rather than embrace the present. Forgiveness for others doesn't mean excusing their actions or forgetting what happened. It means choosing peace over continued suffering. It means refusing to give someone else control over your happiness. When you release resentment, you reclaim energy, focus, and clarity that can be invested into building the life you want instead of being trapped in a cycle of bitterness. Another key aspect of letting go is reframing your perspective. Often, we get stuck not because of the event itself, but because of the story we tell ourselves about it. We replay it in a negative light, exaggerate its impact, and use it as evidence of our limitations, but you have the power to rewrite that narrative. Every mistake, every setback, every challenge carries a lesson. When you choose to see the value, the insight, or the growth potential in what has already happened, the past transforms from a burden into a teacher. Reframing allows you to take control of your thoughts, which then shapes your emotions and your actions. What once felt like a failure can become a stepping stone, a lesson learned, or a fuel for motivation. The process of release also includes taking deliberate action in the present. It's one thing to mentally let go, but another to align your actions with your decision to move forward. If yesterday's mistakes were about missed opportunities, today is your chance to act differently. If past disappointments left you feeling stuck, today is your chance to take a step forward, however small, toward the life you want. Letting go is not passive, it's active. It is about taking control, reclaiming your time and energy, and redirecting them toward what matters most. And here is the subtle, powerful truth. The more consistently you practice releasing the past, the lighter, freer, and more capable you feel. Life stops being a series of burdens to carry and becomes a series of opportunities to embrace. Every morning becomes an invitation to reset, to choose your mindset, and to define your path without interference from yesterday. You start to notice a shift in how you approach challenges. You become more resilient because you understand that setbacks are temporary and do not define your identity. You become more confident because you know that you are not chained to past mistakes. You are in control of your future. Letting go of yesterday also opens space for gratitude and awareness in the present. When you are not preoccupied with past failures or regrets, you notice the small victories, the opportunities, and the beauty that exists right in front of you. You start to approach each moment with curiosity, openness, and intentionality. You realize that life is not about repeating the past or punishing yourself for it. It is about showing up fully today, aware that every decision, every action, and every thought contributes to the story you are creating for tomorrow. So, as you rise each morning, take a deep breath and remind yourself, the past is a chapter that has already been written. You cannot change the words, but you can choose how much power that chapter holds over the rest of your story. Release what no longer serves you. Forgive what needs forgiveness. And step into the day with clarity, focus, and freedom. Your potential is not limited by yesterday. It is defined by how fully you embrace today. And as you move forward, carry this truth with you. Your future cannot begin until you let go of your past. The voice inside your head has more power than almost anything else in your life. It's quiet, it's subtle, and most people don't even notice it, but it shapes everything you do, everything you feel, and everything you believe about yourself. This inner dialogue can be your greatest ally, guiding you toward focus, confidence, and action. Or it can be your worst enemy, whispering doubts, fears, and limitations until you start to believe them as truths. The quality of your life is directly linked to the quality of your inner voice, and learning to control it is one of the most powerful things you can do for your mind, your productivity, and your success. From the moment you wake up, your mind begins a constant conversation with itself. Often we don't realize it, but we allow negative patterns to run automatically. Thoughts like, I'm not good enough, I'll never get there, or this is too hard become default settings. These thoughts feel familiar, and familiarity tricks us into thinking they are reality, but they are not. They are habits, repeated enough times that your brain accepts them as truth. The difference between someone who struggles to move forward and someone who achieves their goals is not luck, resources, or even intelligence. It is how they talk to themselves. Those who succeed know that their inner dialogue shapes their perception, their choices, and ultimately their destiny. Controlling your inner voice begins with awareness. You must become conscious of the words you say to yourself, the tone you use, and the patterns that emerge. Pay attention to the moments when doubt creeps in, when fear tightens its grip, or when hesitation slows you down. Awareness is not about criticizing yourself. It's about observing without judgment. It's about recognizing that the negative voice is just a habit that has been running unchecked. The moment you notice it, you gain the ability to intervene, to redirect, and to replace it with something empowering. Once you become aware, the next step is to challenge the negative narrative. Just because your mind says something doesn't make it true. Questions like, is this really true? Or what evidence do I have that proves this thought wrong? Can break the spell of self-doubt. Often you'll find that the fears and criticisms you carry are exaggerated or entirely imagined. By questioning them, you weaken their power. You start to see that these thoughts are not commands, they are suggestions, and you have the choice to accept or reject them. But awareness and questioning alone are not enough. You must consciously replace the negative dialogue with a voice of support, belief, and action. This does not mean pretending everything is perfect or forcing false positivity. It means speaking to yourself with the same encouragement, honesty, and guidance you would offer a friend you care about deeply. Instead of saying, I can't do this, you might say, I will figure this out, or I can take one step at a time. Instead of dwelling on mistakes, you affirm, I am learning, I am growing, and I am moving forward. Over time, this becomes a habit. Your mind learns that it is safe, productive, and powerful to think in terms of solutions, growth, and capability. Controlling your inner voice also requires consistency. You cannot expect years of negative self-talk to be replaced overnight. Habits take time, repetition, and patience. Start small. Begin by observing your thoughts in the morning, during challenges, and before important decisions. Notice the tone, the language, and the patterns. Then actively intervene, reframe, and reinforce empowering thoughts. Each time you do this, you strengthen new neural pathways in your brain, and gradually your default thinking begins to shift. What was once negative and self-limiting becomes constructive, motivating, and energizing. Another important aspect is aligning your inner voice with your goals and values. Often, our minds are full of random chatter, fear, and comparison, which creates confusion and indecision. When you intentionally guide your thoughts to reflect your purpose and priorities, you bring clarity and direction. Ask yourself daily, what do I want to accomplish? Who do I want to be? How do I want to show up in this moment? Let your inner voice reinforce these answers. Speak to yourself in ways that cultivate focus, discipline, and courage. Your inner dialogue becomes a coach, a motivator, and a compass guiding you through challenges and toward your vision. Controlling your inner voice also means resisting the temptation to react impulsively to external triggers. Life is full of criticism, setbacks, and unexpected challenges. Without control over your inner dialogue, these external events can derail your mindset, leading to panic, frustration, or self-doubt. But when you have trained your mind, your inner voice serves as an anchor. It reminds you of your capabilities, reframes challenges as opportunities, and helps you take deliberate action instead of reacting emotionally. You become the master of your responses, not a slave to circumstance. There is also power in speaking your inner voice out loud. Affirmations, journaling, and even quiet self-talk can reinforce new thought patterns. When you verbalize your intentions, your goals, and your belief in yourself, you solidify them in your subconscious mind. Your thoughts become habits, and your habits become reality. This is why the world's most successful people, athletes, entrepreneurs, and leaders use mental rehearsal, affirmations, and positive self-talk daily. They understand that mastery of the mind precedes mastery of the world. It is crucial to understand that controlling your inner dialogue is not about perfection. You will have moments of doubt, fear, or frustration. That is human. The key is not to eliminate these thoughts entirely, but to learn to respond differently. Notice the negative thought, acknowledge it, and then pivot. Replace it with a constructive statement, an actionable plan, or a perspective that moves you forward. Over time, this process builds resilience, confidence, and mental clarity that cannot be shaken by external events. The final and most transformative element is to recognize the long-term impact of a disciplined inner voice. Every thought you have today shapes your habits, your decisions, and your future. The small, consistent conversations you hold with yourself compound over weeks, months, and years. Trained to speak with belief, focus, and courage becomes unstoppable. It sees opportunities where others see obstacles, solutions where others see problems, and potential where others see limitations. By controlling your inner dialogue, you are not just improving your mindset, you are shaping the trajectory of your life. So every morning, take a moment to listen to yourself. Notice what your inner voice is saying, and make the conscious choice to guide it toward empowerment, belief, and action. Speak to yourself with intention, with honesty, and with encouragement. Challenge the doubts, release the fears, and affirm your capability. This is not just a practice, it is a declaration of control over your life, your decisions, and your destiny. And always remember, the way you speak to yourself shapes the life you live. Life is filled with things we cannot control. From the moment we wake up, we are bombarded with events, opinions, and circumstances that demand our attention, yet lie entirely outside our power. The traffic we face, the weather, other people's behavior, unexpected setbacks, none of these are under our direct control. And the truth is, most of the stress, frustration, and wasted energy in our lives comes from trying to control what we cannot. We spend hours, days, even years obsessing over outcomes that are not ours to manage, and in doing so, we surrender our energy and our clarity. Learning to focus on what we can control is one of the most liberating, powerful, and transformative shifts a person can make in their mindset. To focus on what you can control, you must first recognize the difference between what is within your power and what is not. This requires honest self-reflection. Your actions, your decisions, your effort, and your attitude are all under your control. How you respond to challenges, the energy you bring to your work, the consistency with which you show up, these are yours to manage. Everything else, from external events to other people's opinions, is beyond your direct influence. By clearly identifying this boundary, you reclaim energy that would otherwise be wasted on frustration, anxiety, and blame. The beauty of controlling what is within your power is that it creates momentum. When you focus on your actions rather than outcomes, you shift from a mindset of helplessness to one of empowerment. Instead of waiting for circumstances to align or for luck to strike, you take responsibility for what you can do, moment by moment. This focus creates small wins, and small wins compound into larger victories. The person who focuses on effort, preparation, and persistence will always move forward, even when the world around them seems chaotic or unfair. Most people get this backwards. They obsess over results, outcomes, or what others are doing. They fixate on whether they will be successful, whether they will be recognized, whether the world will respond in the way they want. But the truth is, the world does not owe you anything, and most of what happens is outside your control. By focusing on these external factors, you give away your power. You tie your sense of worth, your motivation, and your peace of mind to variables that are inherently unreliable. On the other hand, focusing on what you can control, your effort, your discipline, your attitude, keeps you grounded, productive, and unstoppable regardless of external circumstances. One of the most practical ways to apply this principle is to start each day by asking yourself, what is within my control today? Make a mental or written list of actions, attitudes, and decisions that you can fully manage. Then commit your energy to those areas. This simple practice shifts your attention from worry to action Instead of being paralyzed by uncertainty, you become proactive. You are no longer a passenger in your own life, reacting to what happens. You are the driver, shaping your day with deliberate choices. Focusing on what you can control also changes the way you handle setbacks. Challenges are inevitable, disappointment is unavoidable. But when you focus on your response, you create a buffer against discouragement. You realize that no matter what happens, you have the power to act with integrity, persistence, and courage. You can choose to respond with calm, with determination, and with a mindset of growth. This perspective transforms obstacles from threats into opportunities. Opportunities to learn, to adapt, and to prove to yourself that your power lies not in controlling the uncontrollable, but in mastering yourself. This mindset shift also improves your relationships. When you stop trying to control others, you stop creating unnecessary tension and frustration. People respond differently, act differently, and make choices differently than you expect. Accepting this reality frees you to focus on how you engage with others, how you communicate, how you set boundaries, and how you contribute positively without trying to dictate their actions. You influence through example, through consistency, and through integrity rather than through manipulation or control. This builds trust, respect, and deeper connections, and it removes the heavy burden of trying to manage what is not yours to manage. Another subtle but powerful benefit is clarity. When you focus on what you can control, decision-making becomes simpler. Instead of being overwhelmed by endless possibilities, opinions, or hypothetical outcomes, you direct your attention to actions you can actually take. You prioritize effectively, allocate your energy wisely, and eliminate distractions that do not contribute to progress. Your mind becomes sharper, your energy more sustainable, and your results more consistent. The clarity that comes from focusing on the controllable allows you to act decisively, even in the midst of uncertainty or chaos. The process of controlling what is within your power also requires discipline. It is easy to slip back into old habits of worry, blame, or overthinking. Your mind naturally wants to control what it cannot because it mistakes concern for action. But each time you notice yourself focusing on the uncontrollable, you have an opportunity to pivot. Refocus on your effort, your response, your attitude, and your decisions. Practice this daily. Over time, this habit rewires your brain, making calm, focused, and proactive thinking your default mode rather than reactive thinking. It is also important to remember that focusing on what you can control does not mean ignoring reality or avoiding planning for external factors. It means directing the majority of your energy to what is yours to manage, while preparing as best as you can for the things outside your control. You take intelligent action, anticipate edges, and mitigate risks where possible, but you do not waste energy on worry, blame, or frustration over what you cannot influence. This balance creates resilience, efficiency, and peace of mind. Ultimately, focusing on what you can control is a mindset of empowerment. It is a daily practice that trains your mind to respond rather than react, to act with clarity rather than confusion, and to persist with courage rather than falter in fear. It frees you from the exhausting habit of blaming external circumstances for your results and replaces it with the liberating habit of taking full responsibility for your actions. By mastering this principle, you gain a level of freedom and focus that allows you to achieve more, stress less, and navigate life with confidence. Every morning, remind yourself that your energy is limited and the most valuable way to spend it is on what you can influence. Let go of what lies outside your control. Let go of worry about outcomes, opinions, or circumstances that are not yours to manage. Instead, put your mind, your heart, and your effort into the choices and actions that are yours and yours alone. Focus on your work, your mindset, your effort, your integrity, and your response. In doing so, you will find that the world becomes more manageable, your actions more impactful, and your confidence unshakable. And always remember, the energy you spend controlling the uncontrollable is wasted. The power lies in mastering yourself. Motivation is a powerful feeling. When it strikes, it feels like fire in your chest, a surge of energy that makes the impossible seem possible. But the truth about motivation is that it is temporary. It comes and goes like waves, unpredictable and unreliable. One day you wake up inspired, ready to conquer the world, and the next day you can barely find the energy to get out of bed. If we rely solely on motivation to fuel our actions, we are at the mercy of feelings that cannot be controlled. That is why discipline is far more important than motivation. Discipline is consistent, dependable, and unshakable. It is the bridge between goals and results, the structure that allows you to act even when motivation is absent, and the foundation upon which long-term success is built. Discipline is not about punishment, restriction, or forcing yourself into misery. It is about creating a system, a set of habits, and a mindset that ensures action regardless of how you feel in the moment. Motivation might make you start, but discipline keeps you going. It is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Think about anyone you admire, anyone who has achieved remarkable success. They did not rely on feeling inspired every day. They relied on showing up, doing the work, and sticking to a routine even when they didn't feel like it. That consistency, that refusal to quit when emotions faltered, is what created their results. One of the keys to building discipline is understanding the difference between effort and feeling. Effort is something you control. Feeling is something you cannot. You might not feel like exercising, studying, writing, or working on your goals, but effort does not depend on feeling. You simply decide to act, and in that decision lies power. Discipline is a muscle. It strengthens each time you act despite resistance. The first time is difficult, but as you continue, it becomes easier, more natural, and eventually a part of your identity. You stop asking, "Do I feel like it?" and start asking, "Will I do it?" And that small shift in question changes everything. Another crucial element of discipline is routine. Humans are creatures of habit. Our brains are wired to conserve energy, which is why we are drawn to familiar patterns, even when they are unproductive. By creating disciplined routines, you take advantage of this wiring rather than fighting it. A disciplined routine automates action. You don't wait for motivation to strike because your day is structured in a way that ensures you show up consistently. The actions that lead to success become habitual, and over time, these habits compound into significant results. Discipline also requires clarity of purpose. When you know why you are doing something, when your goals are clearly defined and deeply meaningful, discipline becomes easier to sustain. Purpose fuels persistence. It allows you to see beyond temporary discomfort, boredom, or resistance. When you are clear about your priorities, each act of discipline is not just an obligation, it is a step toward the life you want. You understand that showing up even when it is hard is not punishment, it is investment. You are investing time, energy, and effort into the person you are becoming, the goals you are achieving, and the life you are creating. Consistency is another vital aspect of discipline. Motivation might inspire a burst of energy that lasts a day, a week, or maybe even a month. Discipline ensures that action continues day after day, regardless of emotion or circumstance. Small, consistent steps, repeated over time, create massive results. A single day of discipline may feel insignificant, but the accumulation of disciplined actions is what creates transformation. The difference between someone who achieves their dreams and someone who doesn't is rarely a single act. It is the sum of all the acts they committed to consistently over time. Discipline also builds resilience. Life will challenge you. Setbacks, failures, and obstacles are inevitable. Motivation alone will not carry you through these moments because feelings are fleeting and unreliable. Discipline, however, is a habit of action that persists despite difficulty. It allows you to keep going when others give up, to maintain focus when distractions arise, and to continue moving toward your goals even when progress feels slow. This ability to persist, to continue showing up in the face of adversity, is what separates ordinary results from extraordinary achievement. A disciplined mindset also changes your relationship with discomfort. Growth is uncomfortable. Success often requires pushing beyond your comfort zone. facing fear, and doing what is difficult or inconvenient. Motivation may inspire you to start, but discipline allows you to endure. It allows you to embrace the discomfort, knowing that it is temporary, necessary, and transformative. Discipline turns resistance into opportunity. It teaches your mind and body that you are capable of more than you thought possible, and that consistent action, even in hardship, leads to growth. It is important to recognize that discipline is not about perfection. You will have days when you falter, when resistance is strong, or when distractions pull you away from your commitments. That is normal. Discipline is not about never failing. It is about returning to action every time you do. It is about developing a mindset where setbacks are temporary and persistence is permanent. Each time you resume your disciplined practice after a lapse, you reinforce the habit and strengthen your mental resilience. Over time, these repeated returns to action create a momentum that is almost unstoppable. Another key aspect is accountability. Discipline thrives when you hold yourself responsible for your actions. This does not mean being harsh or self-critical. It means recognizing that your results are a product of your choices and effort. When you take ownership of your actions, you stop blaming circumstances, other people, or lack of motivation. You accept responsibility and act accordingly. Accountability ensures that discipline is not just theoretical. It becomes practical, actionable, and effective. Discipline also enhances confidence. Motivation comes and goes, leaving uncertainty in its place when it fades. Discipline, however, builds trust in yourself. Each time you show up, each time you follow through despite resistance, you reinforce the belief that you are capable. Over time, this creates an unshakable confidence that is not dependent on external validation or fleeting feelings. Confidence born of discipline allows you to face challenges with calm, focus, and determination because you know you have developed the ability to act consistently, regardless of circumstances. Ultimately, discipline is the bridge between dreams and reality. Motivation may spark action, but without discipline, it fades before results are achieved. Discipline ensures that action continues habits are built, and progress compounds. It turns ambition into achievement, ideas into results, and goals into reality. Those who master discipline understand that success is not a single moment of inspiration. It is a lifetime of consistent action, choices made in alignment with purpose, and a commitment to persist when motivation fades. Every morning, remind yourself that motivation will not always be there, but discipline will carry you. Choose action over feeling, consistency over convenience, and effort over excuses. Build routines, honor your commitments, and show up even when it is hard. With discipline, you create a life that does not depend on fleeting inspiration, but instead relies on the steady, powerful engine of your consistent, determined effort. And always remember, motivation may light the spark, but discipline keeps the fire burning. Visualization is a powerful tool that most people underestimate. We often think of it as daydreaming or wishing for something to happen, but true visualization is far more deliberate, strategic, and transformative. When you visualize, you are training your mind to see the future clearly, to imagine the person you want to become, and to rehearse the actions and decisions that will get you there. It is not about escaping reality. It is about creating a mental blueprint that guides your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors in alignment with your goals. The act of visualizing helps you move from uncertainty to clarity, from doubt to confidence, and from inaction to deliberate progress. The mind cannot always distinguish between what is vividly imagined and what is experienced. When you picture yourself achieving a goal, performing at your best, or handling a challenge with grace, your brain starts to treat it as a real possibility. This mental rehearsal strengthens your neural pathways, builds confidence, and programs your subconscious to respond in ways that align with your vision. Essentially, visualization trains your mind and body before you even take physical action. Athletes, performers, and high achievers have used this principle for decades because they understand that success begins in the mind before it manifests in reality. Visualizing the person you want to become requires clarity. It is not enough to vaguely wish for success or improvement. You must see yourself clearly in as much detail as possible. What habits you embody, how you think, how you carry yourself, how you react under pressure, and how you interact with others. Imagine the confidence in your posture, the focus in your eyes, the discipline in your actions. Picture the challenges you face and see yourself overcoming them with calm, skill, and persistence. The more detailed and vivid your visualization, the stronger the impact on your mind and behavior. Visualization also helps align your actions with your long-term goals. When you have a clear image of your desired future self, every choice becomes easier to evaluate. You naturally ask yourself, does this action move me closer to that vision or pull me away from it? Your decisions, behaviors, and priorities start to reflect the person you aspire to be. In this way, visualization acts as both a compass and a guide, directing your energy toward meaningful progress rather than random effort. Another key benefit of visualization is that it builds resilience. Life will inevitably throw obstacles, setbacks, and uncertainty in your path. When you have practiced seeing yourself navigate these challenges successfully in your mind, you are mentally prepared for the difficulties that arise in reality. Your confidence remains intact because you have already rehearsed how to respond with calm, clarity, and determination. Visualization equips you with the mindset to face adversity without panic, to persist without discouragement, and to find solutions rather than being trapped by problems. Visualization is also closely linked to belief. When you repeatedly see yourself succeeding, your subconscious begins to accept that success is possible, even inevitable. This shifts your mindset from doubt and fear to expectation and certainty. Belief is not mere optimism, it is a deep-seated confidence that your efforts, guided by consistent action and intentional choices, will lead to the outcome you desire. The combination of clear vision and unwavering belief creates unstoppable momentum in your life. The process of visualization should be deliberate and consistent. It works best when practiced daily, preferably in the morning as you are about to step into your day. Take a few quiet moments, close your eyes, and vividly picture your future self and the goals you are pursuing. Imagine the environment, the people, the challenges, and most importantly, or responses. Feel the emotions associated with achieving success, the satisfaction, the pride, the calm confidence. When you engage your senses and emotions, visualization becomes a powerful rehearsal that programs your mind and body for real-life performance. Visualization also improves focus. When your mind has a clear image of where you are going and who you are becoming, distractions lose their power. Every action, every decision, every interaction becomes an opportunity to move toward that vision. You stop wasting energy on irrelevant tasks, unproductive habits, or self-doubt. Instead, your mental energy is channeled efficiently, making your efforts more effective and your results more significant. In addition, visualization strengthens your emotional resilience. Achieving meaningful goals often requires patience, persistence, and endurance. When you visualize your success, you create a mental reservoir of motivation and determination that you can draw from during difficult times. On days when challenges feel overwhelming, recalling your vision provides perspective, reminding you of the bigger picture and why your effort matters. Visualization becomes a tool to maintain emotional stability, clarity, and perseverance. Visualization also fosters creativity. When you imagine solutions, strategies, or outcomes, your mind begins to explore possibilities beyond your current limitations. You start to think in new ways, connect ideas, and identify opportunities that might not have been obvious before. By training your mind to visualize success and navigate challenges, you enhance your problem-solving abilities, innovation, and adaptability. Importantly, visualization you'll always be paired with action. Seeing yourself succeed is not enough if it is not followed by deliberate steps in reality. Visualization primes your mind, strengthens belief, and guides your decisions. But it is your consistent effort, discipline, and persistence that turn the vision into tangible results. The combination of clear mental imagery and aligned action creates momentum, bridges the gap between dreams and reality, and transforms possibilities into achievements. Visualization also teaches patience and perspective. Many people become frustrated because they expect instant results or immediate recognition. Visualization helps you see the long-term journey, the incremental steps, and the process of growth. It reminds you that each small action is part of a larger trajectory, and that persistence, consistency, and focus compound over time. When setbacks occur, visualization allows you to maintain perspective, recognize them as temporary obstacles, and continue moving forward with confidence. Furthermore, visualization strengthens your emotional intelligence. By imagining how you will interact with others, handle conflicts, or communicate effectively, you prepare yourself to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. You develop empathy, composure, and strategic thinking. Over time, this practice improves your interpersonal relationships, leadership abilities, and influence in both personal and professional spheres. Ultimately, visualization is not about escape. It is about preparation, clarity, and alignment. It bridges the gap between who you are today and who you aspire to become. It turns abstract goals into concrete mental experiences, trains your mind for success, and programs your behavior to match your vision. The more vividly and consistently you visualize, the more naturally your actions, decisions, and habits align with the person you want to be. Every morning, take the time to see yourself clearly, your goals, your habits, your mindset, and your actions. Imagine the challenges you will face and see yourself overcoming them. Feel the confidence, the strength, and the satisfaction of becoming your best self. Allow your visualization to guide your day, inform your decisions, and reinforce your belief in what is possible. The mind, once trained in this way, becomes an ally, a coach, and a compass leading you toward your highest potential. And always remember, you become what you see in your mind before it manifests in your life. Life will challenge you, it will test your patience, your strength, and your resolve in ways you cannot always anticipate. Everyone experiences pain, failure, and disappointment, and often it comes when we least expect it. But the crucial difference between those who rise above their circumstances and those who remain stuck is the way they respond to pain. Pain in itself is not the enemy. Struggle, difficulty, and setbacks are not proof that you are failing. On the contrary, they are proof that you are alive, that you are growing, and that you are stepping beyond the limits of comfort into the arena of progress. The ability to turn pain into fuel is one of the most powerful keys to personal and professional transformation. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Pain is the event, the setback, the criticism, the loss. Suffering is how we allow pain to define us, limit us, or break us. When you choose to see pain as fuel rather than punishment, everything changes. Pain becomes information. It teaches you lessons, reveals weaknesses that need attention, and highlights areas where growth is possible. Every difficult moment is an opportunity to learn, adapt, and become stronger. The people who succeed in life are not those who avoid pain. They are those who learn to harness it, to transform it into energy that propels them forward. Turning pain into fuel starts with perspective. When something goes wrong, when a goal is missed, or when failure strikes, you have a choice. You can either dwell on what went wrong, allow resentment or self-doubt to consume you, or you can examine the situation with clarity and ask, what can I learn from this? How can I grow stronger? How can I use this experience to move forward? This shift from passive reaction to active reflection transforms pain into a tool for improvement. It turns moments of difficulty into catalysts for growth, and obstacles into stepping stones toward your next level. Pain also builds resilience. Every time you face adversity and choose to keep moving forward, you strengthen your mental and emotional muscles. The discomfort you experience becomes familiar, and your capacity to endure grows. You start to understand that setbacks are temporary, that challenges can be navigated, and that your inner strength is far greater than you realized. This resilience does not develop in comfort. It develops in the crucible of struggle when you push through fear, frustration, and uncertainty. Those who embrace pain as fuel find that each trial makes the next challenge easier to face. Another vital aspect of turning pain into fuel is reframing failure. Failure is often seen as a negative endpoint, a mark of inadequacy or limitation. But failure is not final unless you allow it to be. Failure is feedback. It provides insight into what doesn't work, what needs adjustment, and where growth is needed. When you approach failure with this mindset, you stop being defeated by it and start being guided by it. Each failure becomes a lesson, each setback a roadmap, and each mistake a step closer to mastery. The ability to reframe failure transforms fear into courage and uncertainty into opportunity. Pain also teaches empathy and perspective. When you experience struggle, you develop a deeper understanding of others who face difficulties. This awareness not only strengthens your emotional intelligence, but also enhances your ability to lead, to connect, and to inspire. Pain becomes a teacher of compassion, helping you relate to others authentically, offer support, and act with understanding. In this way, the fuel derived from personal struggle extends beyond yourself. It empowers you to positively impact those around you. The key to converting pain into fuel is action. Reflection and perspective are important, but without action, pain remains stagnant. The energy of frustration, anger, or disappointment can be redirected toward productive steps, toward solving problems, toward improving skills, and toward moving closer to your goals. Each time you act despite the discomfort, you reinforce your capability, your courage, and your momentum. Action turns raw emotion into tangible progress, and progress turns pain into power. Turning pain into fuel also requires self-discipline and patience. Growth does not happen overnight. Transformation often comes gradually as a result of repeated effort, reflection, and adjustment. When pain strikes, it is easy to expect instant results or immediate relief. But the most profound growth comes when you consistently choose to channel discomfort into effort, learning, and persistence. Over time, this approach compounds, creating resilience, strength, and the ability to face increasingly difficult challenges with calm and confidence. Pain also sharpens focus. When you experience difficulty, it forces you to confront what is truly important. It reveals distractions, excuses, and behaviors that do not serve your growth. When approached correctly, pain highlights what matters most, allowing you to prioritize your energy and attention on actions that produce meaningful results. It removes superficial concerns, clarifies your goals, and accelerates progress. The person who learns to harness pain sees challenges not as obstacles, but as filters, separating what is essential from what is irrelevant. Another element of using pain as fuel is embracing discomfort rather than avoiding it. Growth rarely occurs within the bounds of ease and comfort. Challenges, risks, and uncertainty are unavoidable, but they are also opportunities. When you stop resisting discomfort and start leaning into it, you develop courage, adaptability, and strength. Pain is no longer something to fear. It is a signal that you are stretching, evolving, and moving forward. Each uncomfortable experience becomes a source of energy, sharpening your resolve and reinforcing your capacity to overcome future challenges. Turning pain into fuel also strengthens your mindset. It cultivates confidence not in the absence of difficulty, but in your ability to handle difficulty. When you face setbacks and use them as learning opportunities, you internalize a truth that cannot be shaken, that your strength is not defined by circumstances, but by how you respond to them. This mindset is powerful because it liberates you from fear, self-doubt, and paralysis. You approach life with a sense of agency, knowing that even when challenges arise, you have the power to respond constructively and continue moving forward. Pain also creates motivation that is sustainable. Motivation based on comfort, convenience, or external reward is fleeting. Motivation fueled by the desire to transform struggle into growth is deep, intrinsic, and enduring. When you decide that every challenge, setback, and difficulty is an opportunity to become stronger, smarter, and more capable, you generate a persistent energy that drives you forward regardless of circumstances. This is the fuel that carries you through long-term goals, sustained effort, and ambitious endeavors. Finally, turning pain into fuel creates gratitude. When you learn to see struggle as an opportunity, you start to appreciate the moments of growth, the lessons learned, and the resilience developed along the way. You recognize that every difficulty, though painful in the moment, contributes to your strength, your wisdom, and your ability to achieve more than you imagined. Gratitude transforms pain from a burden into a resource, reminding you that even the most challenging experiences have value and purpose. Every morning, remind yourself that discomfort and struggle are not signs that you are failing. Why are signs that you are growing. Each difficulty you face is fuel waiting to be harnessed. By reflecting, reframing, acting, and embracing challenges with courage, you transform pain into a source of strength, momentum, and opportunity. The obstacles that once seemed like barriers become stepping stones, guiding you toward the person you are capable of becoming. And always remember, struggles are not obstacles, they are training. Life is rarely about perfection. Most people spend their time chasing flawless execution, trying to make every action, every decision, and every outcome exactly right. But the truth is, perfection is an illusion. It does not exist in reality. Waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, or the perfect circumstance only leads to delay, frustration, and missed opportunity. Progress, not perfection, is what creates meaningful results. Every small step you take, every effort you make, and every decision you execute consistently compounds over time into extraordinary outcomes. Committing to daily progress rather than perfection is the mindset that separates those who achieve their goals from those who remain stagnant. Progress is a process. It does not happen all at once, and it rarely happens in a straight line. Life is messy, unpredictable, and filled with obstacles, setbacks, and mistakes. The people who succeed understand this, and they embrace the journey rather than obsess over immediate results. Each day is an opportunity to move forward, to learn something new, to refine a skill, or to take a single step closer to your goals. The accumulation of these small, consistent actions creates momentum that is far more powerful than a single, dramatic effort. Progress compounds silently, steadily, and inevitably when you commit to consistent action. Daily progress begins with small, intentional actions. It is easy to be overwhelmed by the scale of your goals or the enormity of the challenges ahead. When you focus only on the end result, it can feel unattainable, discouraging, and paralyzing. But when you break it down into manageable steps, actions you can take today, this hour, or this moment, progress becomes achievable. You start to see results incrementally, which fuels motivation, builds confidence, and reinforces the habit of consistent action. Small wins repeated day after day are the foundation of extraordinary achievement. Focusing on progress rather than perfection also encourages learning and adaptation. Mistakes, failures, and imperfections are inevitable along the journey. But instead of seeing them as setbacks or proof of inadequacy, they become opportunities for growth. Each mistake teaches you something new. Each challenge reveals a gap to be addressed, and each failure provides insight that guides future decisions. When you focus on progress, you shift from a fear of error to a mindset of experimentation and learning. This openness accelerates growth, strengthens resilience, and expands your capabilities over time. Consistency is another key element of progress. Motivation may fluctuate from day to day, but consistent effort ensures results. Showing up every day, even when you don't feel like it, is what turns intention into achievement. It is the repeated practice, the discipline to act despite discomfort, and the refusal to be derailed by temporary setbacks that create long-term success. Consistency transforms small actions into habits, habits into skills, and skills into results. Over time, what once seemed like tiny, insignificant steps accumulate into life-changing outcomes. Daily progress also fosters momentum. Every action you take, no matter how small, sets off a chain reaction. One completed task leads to another, one successful decision builds confidence for the next, and one resolved challenge strengthens your ability to tackle the next obstacle. Momentum creates energy, and energy makes it easier to continue moving forward. The key is not to wait for motivation to spark action, but to start with the smallest possible step, knowing that action itself generates momentum. The longer you keep moving, the more unstoppable your progress becomes. Another essential aspect of focusing on progress is maintaining perspective. It is easy to compare yourself to others or measure your journey against an unrealistic standard. But every person's path is unique, and comparison only distracts from meaningful action. Progress is personal. It is about moving forward relative to where you were yesterday, last week, or last month. Celebrate your improvements, acknowledge your efforts, and use them as evidence that you are capable of growth. By focusing on your journey rather than external inch marks, you maintain clarity, confidence, and motivation to continue advancing. Progress also teaches patience and resilience. Achieving meaningful goals rarely happens overnight. It requires sustained effort, repeated action, and the willingness to persist through challenges. By committing to daily progress, you develop the patience to endure difficulties, the perseverance to keep moving forward, and the resilience to recover from setbacks. This mindset strengthens your character and equips you to handle larger challenges and opportunities in the future. Every small effort invested today builds the foundation for greater achievements tomorrow. Furthermore, focusing on progress encourages self-compassion. When perfection is the standard, it is easy to become self-critical, discouraged, or harsh with yourself whenever you fall short. But progress allows you to recognize effort, improvement, and incremental achievement. It reframes challenges and mistakes as part of the journey rather than evidence of inadequacy. This mindset cultivates confidence, self-respect, and a positive relationship with your goals and your growth. By valuing progress over perfection, you create an environment in which sustained effort, learning, and improvement are natural and rewarding. Daily progress is also empowering because it shifts control into your hands. You may not be able to control every outcome, circumstance, or external factor, but you can control your actions, your habits, and your consistency. Each deliberate step you take is a demonstration of agency, a choice to move forward despite uncertainty, doubt, or difficulty. This empowerment creates momentum, reinforces self-belief. ND ensures that your energy is spent on what matters rather than wasted on worry or frustration over what you cannot control. Finally, committing to progress over perfection transforms your life because it emphasizes action over waiting, effort over expectation, and growth over stagnation. Every day is an opportunity to advance, refine, and build. Each action, no matter how small, contributes to a larger trajectory that compounds over time. By showing up consistently, taking deliberate steps, learning from mistakes, and maintaining focus, you create unstoppable forward motion. Success is not about flawless execution. It is about persistent effort, daily improvement, and the courage to continue moving forward even when the path is imperfect. Every morning, remind yourself that perfection is not required, but progress is essential. Choose small, consistent steps. Embrace learning through effort, and commit to improvement over time. Build momentum, honor your actions, and focus on moving forward, even when it is uncomfortable or slow. By prioritizing daily progress over perfection, you create a life of achievement, growth, and fulfillment that no fleeting feeling or external circumstance can derail. And always remember, win the morning, and you win the day.